Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
I'm Jamie.
And we love movies. So many things to talk about today.
An unreal amount of news coming out of the D23 conference last weekend. We've got Star Wars, we've got everything.
Yeah, we got Marvel versus Sony we're talking about later. Also, the streaming wars. Disney versus everybody. Everyone, yeah. So, but first, something dropped last week, or over the past week. Something, not a big deal, but a little sizzle reel for the new Rise of Skywalker movie that's coming out. Yeah. Ben Solo, Kylo Ren in the house. We got some new shots of him and Rey going at it.
We've already seen it. We want you to see it. We want to see it again.
Let's watch it together.
And we're going to share it with you.
Let's watch it together.
Yeah, let's watch it together.
Exactly. Because this, because we'll let the video speak for itself, but let's break this down because it's very much anticipated over the D23 weekend.
Now, this is a sizzle reel. This is not necessarily a trailer.
And, of course, you can't open a sizzle reel of Star Wars, the saga, without the two setting suns.
Of course. Which I fully expect that's how they're going to end the saga, too.
Ooh,
setting suns of
instead of setting suns, rising suns on Tatooine. Rise of Skywalker. I don't know.
For the rising suns in her belly that are the Reylo babies.
No.
Oh, the Emperor who's back.
We've passed on all we know.
Darth Maul.
So many memories.
They love that lightsaber.
That double lightsaber.
It is coming back.
Does this make you want to go through the whole series again? Like,
oh, well, that's everyday life for me. You just want to make note of what they put together.
This Christmas.
Oh, the music is always fantastic. Leia!
The story of a generation. Oh goodness. Oh, this shot's amazing. That shot's amazing. And those are
all of the Star Destroyers. Hundreds of Star
the Imperial Star Destroyers.
Oh, looks like she's training. Oh my goodness, that strut it, boy. Oh my goodness.
And it's back and
forth.
Oh
my goodness.
Battling on the Death Star.
Yeah. That's from the Vanity Fair photo shoot. And that's the money shot. That's the shot right there. That's the shot right there. Dark Rey. The Rise of Skywalker. So we've got the entire history of the Skywalker saga playing out before us, ending with Rey turning to the dark side?
That's
now,
what
this is totally out of left field.
That if this is, now all the theories are popping out right now of whether did Rey really switch to the dark side? Is this a vision? Is this something that,
or is it something that is actually going to transpire with this character?
Yeah, and if it actually does transpire, if for some reason Rey, because I'm not on the boat yet, I'm not on that ship of Rey's turned to the dark side, but if she does. I think it will be really out of, left field. The Last Jedi and before that with The Force Awakens, it really hasn't set up. I mean, we've seen Rey, show interest in the dark side with The Last Jedi. She looked at the dark side, or she didn't turn away from it, according to Luke. And so there are hints of it, but I don't think there's been enough so far laid out.
I think that it's been there all along. I think that what was so unique about Rey as a heroic character is that she has a villain backstory. She was abandoned by her parents under harsh circumstances on a planet and raised herself, and she had to fight and scrap to survive. And then, so she has every reason to be a villain, but she chooses to be a hero. She chooses to do the right thing and to fight for her friends and to be loyal and all of those things. But there is that darkness inside of her. Just like for Kylo, he has that light. He was born with the light. He was born with every reason to be a hero, but turns to the dark. And she has every reason to be a villain, and she turned to the light. And are they going to switch? Are they just going back now?
So, if Rey does switch for any reason, I don't think it'll be completely on her. I think this is where the Darth Sidious Palpatine, reintroduction into this saga. I think that's where he's going to play the biggest role. I think he's going to be this may be either. When Luke went to the Dagobah system when met with Yoda, and then he went into the cave and he had that vision of battling Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I think this is something very similar, just because if you notice, we could go back to the frame, but where she ignites her red lightsaber, her double red lightsaber, in the back, it looks
incredible. Double lightsaber. Yeah.
The background looks metallic, and so it seems like that may be inside the Death Star. Maybe this is another dream.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe she returns to that mirror somehow there in The Last Jedi in the cave. But yeah, absolutely. Every Force user, I suppose, has to face off with themselves and everything that is percolating within themselves. What is their potential for good and evil? Luke had equal potential for evil, as we saw in the cave vision in the earlier movies. So I 100% believe that Rey has the potential for evil,
for sure.
But it's all a choice. So she is going to be working, I believe, to bringing Kylo Ren / Ben Solo back to the light. And then you've got Palpatine in the mix, so you've got Palpatine who's been manipulating Kylo Ren for his entire life. Who's to say now?
Actually, we don't know that for sure, right? Because we do know that for sure. Snoke was manipulating Kylo.
Right.
Ben.
Okay,
So,
I misspoke. Okay, but it could very well be, I believe, that Palpatine is behind Snoke. And so that Snoke manipulating Kylo was actually Palpatine. Are you following this, guys? I should get one of those boards. And,
a little PowerPoint presentation.
You put the strings, marking all of the crazy theories.
But if you tuned into last week's episode, we were talking about the possibility of Palpatine coming back via clone technology or whatnot.
Right.
Or just we're talking about his clone technology in general. And so it's very possible that I've heard this theory thrown out there that Snoke was this deformed clone version that Palpatine tried coming back and to embody, rather. But there's a...
But they need a nice young, powerful Force user to eventually inhabit. But it, to me, feels like there was just too much light in Kylo Ren for Snoke, i.e. Palpatine, weird spirit clone creature, to make the jump into Kylo Ren. He was trying to kill the light to fulfill his destiny. Maybe it was the Palpatine's destiny. It wasn't Kylo Ren's destiny. He just wanted to kill the light inside of Kylo Ren so much so that he could make the jump into that clone. But what if they're going to start, Palpatine or whatever forces behind all of this are going to start trying to bring Rey to the dark side and killing the light inside of Rey so that he can make the jump into that body? Because now there's no more Snoke. That body is gone. Palpatine is possibly via, Voldemort-ish, just floating around as a very pissed off spirit. We'll see what happens. Oh my gosh, there's so many possibilities.
You know what's funny? During this whole thing, since D23 and the trailer came out, we keep hearing, about Rey, about Kylo Ren, Palpatine, Darth Sidious. Nothing about Finn or Poe. There's nothing going on with those two.
But we know they're good guys.
We know they're good guys,
nice guys.
But doesn't it kind of strike you kind of weird? I mean, I'm sure that, again, this was a very short sizzle reel, so they couldn't show too much, of course.
Right.
No one's curious. No one's asking. I wonder what Finn and Poe are going to do in this
poor
one.
Finn,
yeah,
poor
I feel like they kind of got
pushed.
pushed.
They're making out. That's what they're doing.
Is that another fan theory of yours?
It is the source of many a fan heart flutter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fan fiction to that degree. It's called Storm Pilot. I'd look it up if you're so inclined.
That's not.
But anyways, maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe that's not what they're doing. But I feel like really, to answer your question in that regard, I think that really the heart of this film and the heart of the end of this saga is not those characters. It's Rey and
I think that's been true the whole time, but I think it's funny, though. Now, anywhere online, no one's talking about them, so I thought that was interesting.
Right. Some other things that we saw in that sizzle reel that are new that I wanted to touch on briefly. So we saw Kylo Ren looking at Darth Vader's helmet. So the helmet still exists. We're bringing back that theme from the very first JJ movie, in that he wants to be his grandfather. He aspires to that, but does he still really? Does he still really want to be Darth Vader? So that, kind of conflict is coming back, and we see Kylo and Rey fighting on this water world. It could be
the Death Star.
It could be the Death Star. It could be the remnants of the Death Star on that water planet, or it could be these flash fights that we've heard so much about, where Rey and Kylo fight, and then suddenly the world around them changes, and they have visions of the past, and they have visions of the whole Star Wars saga. So they kind of get to watch the series via these Star Wars fights, maybe learn a little bit more about the past that they didn't know before, and fill in the gaps so that we can have a nice, clean little put the bow on the end of a series of 9 movies. So that's all pretty interesting.
What are your thoughts on the idea of introducing the Death Star again?
That is so good. Okay,
it keeps coming back. It's the gift that just keeps giving.
It's the gift I wish
never
would stop
disappear.
giving. No more Death Stars. You don't need it.
I feel like in one of the scenes in this sizzle reel, we see this beam destroying this land, or not the entire planet, but definitely destroying a part of this planet.
Yeah.
And so it seems like. Yeah, the Death Star is back, maybe not to its full power, to its full capacity, but it's going to be back in one way or another.
There's some crazy stuff out there in the dark outer regions.
Yeah.
Unknown regions. Okay, 2 schools of thought on that. I am so over Death Stars. I'm so tired of Death Stars. However, in this context, like going to the remnants.
And to end it all.
End it all and make it enough. Like, kill the Death Stars forever. I'm pro that. I think it's going to look visually incredibly stunning, just unbelievable, and kind of different, and I'm really excited to see that.
This just popped in my head because something in that reminded me. C-3PO. Can we talk about C-3PO?
C-3PO with the red eyes!
Yeah, you probably didn't recognize him because of the red eyes, but yeah, what's that about?
You didn't recognize me because of my red arms.
So there are some more theories out there. This is like the theory hour.
Yeah.
So it's possible that he could be. I've heard that he may be used to infiltrate either the Death Stars or somewhere, and so he's gone into stealth mode, and so that's why his eyes have turned red. Oh, go ahead.
Some of the rumors I've heard are that his former memory is going to be a really important part of the plot, and so maybe they try to upload something or download something, and he turns evil, and supposedly he goes rogue.
Or I could see like a throwaway joke of something saying like, okay, C-3PO, activate your kill mode like Spiderman,
right.
And then his eyes turn red.
C-3PO instant kill.
Just these arms come out, these golden arms start stabbing people.
I'm sorry, sir, but I must now kill you.
See, that would be totally out of left field for C-3PO if he came out as a killer robot.
They're gonna play that for comedy, I think.
That would be funny.
That's gonna be hilarious. And where's R2-D2 in all of this? And we're gonna have that new little droid Dio or whatever. So
Dio, I think I may
more
have missed
merchandising,
him.
more toys.
I may have missed him in the trailer, but
I don't. Dio wasn't in the trailer, but he's gonna be a part of the movies. He's gonna be the little droid that looks like a megaphone. Kind of.
Oh, I need to look this up.
It actually looks like the Pixar.
Of course, Disney.
Lamp.
The lamp. Yeah.
Yeah, the Pixar lamp, and I think it is actually an homage to that. But I need to double check that. Don't quote me on it. So, but that was not the only big Star Wars news to come out of D23. Oh no.
No, that wasn't enough for you.
For fans of the original trilogy. Our favorite guy is back.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor. He's back. He surprised the crowd. Kathleen Kennedy. She's what is she? She's the president, vice president, Lucasfilm president.
Yeah.
And she came out, and it was like the last minute or two of their D23 Star Wars presentation. Brings out Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
He asks her to ask him if he's going to be participating again or if he's going to be back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he says yes.
Yes.
He says yes.
That's all he said. He should have said no and just
Imagine.
made everybody laugh, really drawn it out. Like, no, I don't know what I'm doing here. I was on my way to the bathroom and I got lost.
Film, actually.
Yeah.
No, but how awesome is that? So that's
pretty awesome.
This is one thing that, fans, I think most fans, even if they had problems with the prequel or the prequels, they all unanimously agree Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the best
Absolutely.
part out of the whole, episodes 1, 2, and 3. I think. I agree.
I also believe that on top of Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan, who I also believe was the best part of, the original trilogies, the other best part of the original trilogies was Darth Maul and his double-bladed, his double-sided lightsaber, red lightsaber, which is now coming back in Rey's hands. Because fans have been talking for a long time about Rey having a double-sided lightsaber because she favors the staff and all of that. But I never in a million years would have imagined that it would be red. Come on, Rey! Oh my gosh, Rey, no! But that would be so cool if she went to the dark and Kylo had to save her and then he goes to the light. And
the movie is only so long.
I guess so, but I want all of it. Maybe they'll do a comic or a series about that.
But
they
yes,
will. Obi-Wan. This is about Obi-Wan. We love you, Obi. Yes, he'll be back.
And so this is the thing is he's coming back, but not for a movie. He's coming back for 6 episodes that will be showing exclusively, of course, on Disney Plus, the new streaming service.
Right.
And so 6 episodes. Let me ask you. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer 6, drawn out episodes, a longer story, or would you have preferred to have seen Obi-Wan Kenobi in his own movie?
No, I definitely prefer the series because we're gonna get longer episodes, a la Game of Thrones, where you have an hour plus long, episodes that are like little mini movies, and you get half a dozen of them. I love that better.
I think he deserves a movie, but I also agree. I think
you're getting 7 hours worth of content versus just 2.5.
Yeah. And so hopefully, we don't know if this is going to be like a season 1, season 2 thing, or if it's just going to be a 6-episode series and then that's it. But you know what? That's more than what we have right now, which is nothing. But we're getting Obi-Wan Kenobi back.
Right.
I'm interested in what timeline and what they're going to do, because of course I think the go-to or the obvious assumption is that they're going to drop him off on Tatooine during Luke's growing age, and when he's growing up in his teen years. We know that he got into some mischief, and over the years Obi-Wan Kenobi has stepped in, but out of sight, to help and keep Luke safe.
I'd like to see more than just that, because I gotta tell you, teenage Luke is pretty whiny. And
yeah, for sure. I
hope there's more to the story than just looking after a whiny teenage Luke Skywalker.
No, but we can have Obi-Wan also, saving or working with other people, other species on the planet, doing his own little adventures, or I've heard some people say that, having Obi-Wan Kenobi be a detective, solving crimes on Tatooine, that'd be pretty interesting.
Or exploring the outer regions.
Or exploring the Outer Rim, yeah.
Coming back and forth from the Outer Rim.
Or I think it'd be cool though just to see him on one planet, just to see him in one location, not in one one forest, but just one planet.
Yeah.
Because we've seen a lot of space stuff. I think it'd be cool or interesting just to see how resilient an Obi-Wan Kenobi can be by himself, working to solve something by himself. I think that'd be fun.
You think he plays Sabak with the sand people out there? He gets
he'd annihilate them. He'd play with them, but he'd use some of his Jedi powers.
It wouldn't be much of a challenge at all.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
Yes.
It's about time.
And the other show,
The Mandalorian. So we're getting bounty hunters in here. We're getting. Was that the Baby Shark song? Or was that the Cantina song?
It's a combination.
It sounded like Cantina at first, and then it transitioned to the Baby Shark song.
You gotta love bounty hunters, man.
But yeah, the Mandalorian that's coming back. This is not coming back, but this is coming to Disney Plus, of course. Disney, they're not shy. They are going full force, full steam ahead with their streaming platform. Going after Netflix, going after Hulu, Amazon Prime,
and so to create as much content as possible.
Yeah, with the Mandalorian coming out with a series of shows. The short trailer that we saw that was released over D23 weekend, that looks amazing too. I wasn't sure if I was going to hop on the Disney Plus boat, but after seeing the Mandalorian trailer and hearing all the rest of the announcements of what's coming out on that streaming service, it's getting harder and harder to ignore Disney
Thanos?
Plus.
Right, they're taking over. You thought you had power, Thanos. You thought.
See, if anybody could balance the streaming
Disney
services, it would be Thanos. But I'm not even sure if he is more powerful than the mouse.
Oh God!
Because
Thanos shudders in the shadow of the mouse. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because this is giving Disney more ammunition to go after the rest of the streaming services. Because I know this is one of our later topics, but we could talk about it now. I feel like after all these announcements that have come out of D23, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, they really need to be considering, what are their next steps, because they're going to have to.
They're going to be losing people.
Yeah, I'm on that boat kind of, because I know we mentioned it in one of the earlier episodes that I don't want another streaming service, so I want to stick with Netflix Netflix and Amazon Prime. That's what I have right now. I don't want to have another streaming service, and if I did hop on the Disney Plus train, I would have to get rid of another one, and that I think would have to be Netflix. I love Netflix. Netflix has a lot of great shows and original content, but man,
get rid of Hulu. I mean,
I don't have Hulu. I don't have Hulu, so I have Hulu and Amazon Prime, and I don't want to get rid of Amazon Prime just because
you gotta keep Amazon
I already have
Prime,
delivery service. and so right now, I feel like there are many people that are kind of in my boat right now who are unsure of what to do. I don't want to have a third streaming service because
they're nickel and diming you.
Yeah, exactly. This is basically the new cable war. Back in the day, obviously cables, everybody's cutting the cord, and so and they're going to the streaming services. But if you're paying for 3 or 4 different streaming services, you're practically paying more for your cable service.
Exactly. So instead of paying for your individual channels, and then each one not only has like an introductory rate or whatever, and then they raise their rates every year, every couple of years, and you have to sign up for 4 or 5 just to get all of the content that you want or more. Because you can't watch Disney movies on Netflix anymore, and they're going to take all of their content and move it over to the Disney Plus. Yeah, it's a tough call. What
are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Tell us in the comments.
Let us know. Shoot us a tweet. Leave us a comment of what you're doing. What streaming services do you have? Do you have a problem adding another one to that list, or are you going to start making some sacrifices?
And if you've liked our content so far, go ahead and give this video a like, a subscribe. Help us to keep talking about fun things that we love to talk about, and hopefully that you love to talk about. Like this guy. Okay. But if you don't like Kylo, don't worry about it. Just like us anyway. There we go.
That's more appropriate.
Sorry. There we go.
Maybe children watching.
For the children, we have content for the children.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So have you had enough Disney talk?
Apparently not.
Apparently not. We have more Disney talk.
Apparently not. God, this is just the Disney versus the world episode.
Yeah.
This is
And so not only is Disney taking on the rest of the streaming services, but they decided to take on Sony these past 2 weeks. And if you've been living under a rock for the past week and a half or so, hate to break this to you, but Spider-Man, Tom Holland, no longer a part of the MCU.
No!
Says Grumpy Cat.
No!
That's right. So
Grumpy Cat.
Tom Holland, MCU, Sony, they are parting ways. Now Tom, he's going to continue to make Spider-Man movies.
So
Spider-Man
let's
3.
go over a little bit of background on this deal, okay? So we had a deal in place with Sony and the MCU that allowed Disney to have
the licensing, merchandising.
They had 100% of the merchandising, and they got 5% of the profits from the films.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet deal, not bad. But Disney wants more. So as much as I dislike strongly the idea of Sony getting my Spider-Man Tom Holland back.
Because we know the history of Sony and the movies. Besides Into the Spider-Verse, they haven't had the best track record.
Exactly. So as much as I hate that idea, this is Disney's fault, okay? Disney comes to the table and they want to up their percentage of the profits from 5% to 50% and maintain 100% of the merchandising rights. No. Would you accept a deal like that?
No, I wouldn't. I mean...
No, and Sony's not going to accept a deal like that. So naturally, they walked away from the table over D23. They tried to negotiate, a deal to come somewhere in the middle, but it seems like that fell apart during the whole D23 and not yet come to fruition.
Yeah, and part of that negotiation actually became very public. You know, it became known that there was this possibility that Tom Holland could be pulled from the MCU because of this agreement or this disagreement. And so then we saw both sides, Sony fanboys and Marvel, Disney fanboys, going to Twitter, going online and saying, Disney's
Twitter
to blame.
wars.
No, Sony's to blame. Disney's to blame.
Yeah.
But Disney's to blame here.
Disney's to blame,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's pretty obvious. And Tom Holland, poor Tom Holland.
But you know what?
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, even though now it's unfortunate that Spider-Man will no longer be in the MCU, and now he's going to be doing his own thing, at least there will be another movie. Spider-Man 3 will be coming out.
That is still confirmed.
Sony has, they have different... They have different ways to continue the story. Of course they had Venom last year, and that was a big blockbuster success.
Right, and in the comics, Spider-Man and Venom interact.
Yeah, and so there's a possibility that they can try to merge those two worlds to be in the same world. But then that raises the question of, what about Mysterio? What about the Vulture? Those are MCU villains. We're not going to see them on Sony now.
No. And, okay, so in the last Spider-Man movie that we saw, Far From Home, they set it up as the last film of Phase 3, setting up everything for the MCU to come, and they build it hard. In the film itself, that Tom Holland would be the next Iron Man, that he would be at least the successor in some degree, in a great degree. So you had, we have no more Captain America, we have no more Iron Man. Spider-Man was supposed to be the heir apparent, at least, to all of Tony Stark's technologies and abilities and leadership as part of the MCU, as part of the team.
Yeah, they're growing him to be the leader, the
Avengers.
next leader.
And now he's going to go play with Venom. Now he's just disappearing. But as far as storyline goes for the next movie, that's already been pitched. So Tom Holland, before all of this mess happened, Tom Holland at Keystone Comic-Con just yesterday, I think, was saying that the third Spider-Man movie has already been pitched by the creative team. He says it will be very different and very special, and he gave thanks to Disney and the MCU for starting his career and all of this stuff. It didn't sound very promising. He didn't sound like, he thought that it was going to work out in the end. So there's already a story kind of in place. We don't know if all of these changes will impact that.
Yeah, because when Venom first came out last year, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it in theaters. I actually saw it on a plane, but after it came out. But I actually enjoyed it. However, I felt still the worlds were too different. Like with Peter Parker's Spider-Man in the MCU, the way they set him up. Just the world seemed different, and also
I think the quality of the writing is too different.
Yeah, the writing is different, the style is different, the feeling's different, and so that's gonna be interesting to see who changes more, Spider-Man or Venom. The art direction.
I am not a Venom fan. I'm really not. I just thought the quality of the story and
it wasn't
the
great.
writing
It wasn't great, but it was better than I
characters.
expected. I wasn't expecting much. I really wasn't. And so it didn't.
When you set the bar low,
it wasn't hard to beat expectations. But maybe that's why I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
But
we'll see.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do, because again, there's still the plethora of other villains out there that Spider-Man could fight. I don't want them to see.
His identity's been revealed.
Yeah,
J. Jonah Jameson was coming back.
And they can't use J. Jonah Jameson. That guy, he's
So what's the point of introducing J. Jonah? Like, that was the biggest part of it. It's like, oh my god, we're gonna get this real life
J. Jonah
feel.
Jameson is in the MCU.
We're gonna get this real life feel of like an Alex Jones type, but in the MCU, and J. Jonah Jameson, revealing his identity and having that fight. Like, that was so awesome.
Yeah.
That was so great. Like, is that all dead now?
I think they have to drop that storyline, because that's an MCU storyline.
No, James. No, they need to come to a deal. Okay, Disney, are you listening? Disney, make it happen. You have enough money. You have enough of our money. You really, really do. Stop it. Just stop it. Take like 10%. Okay, take 10%, and give us our storyline and give us our Spider-Man, give us our Tom Holland.
Hey, say if I wanted to find out like today or tomorrow if Spider-Man was in or out of the MCU, where would I go for that kind of
It's
information?
funny that you asked, James Rojas. Hang on one second.
Is it literally like, is Spider-Man in the MCU.com?
Yes, it is. It's Is Spider-Man Back in the MCU Yet.com. And unfortunately, as of this recording, still no. Sorry.
Still no.
Still no. With a, you probably can't see it, but it's got a picture of Spider-Man costume in a trash can with Tom Holland walking away sadly, and it's got a crying emoji, a sad face emoji.
Oh, that's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
That's Tobey Maguire. Oh yeah, that's Tobey Maguire's, isn't it?
Yeah.
And his costume in a trash can, and a skull emoji, and it says "Still no."
Put it right here.
It's very sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here. Yes, we'll put it right here. Yeah. How about that? There you go.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. I really don't know which direction they're going to go. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm going to be, cautiously optimistic. I love this version of Spider-Man and this version of Peter Parker.
So much. I love it so much.
Tom Holland, he says, when he came out to D23, he spoke at a panel, but not for Marvel. He spoke out for a new Pixar movie or DreamWorks movie he's working on with Chris Pratt. And he came out saying, I love you 3000 to the crowd. The crowd did the aww and, kind of, choked back some tears. So that was unfortunate to see, but I'm open to see where this goes. I'm really curious what happens in the MCU because
without him, I don't want to watch those movies. Honestly,
I'm not that far yet. I'm not at that point yet. Maybe tomorrow, but not
maybe tomorrow.
Not today.
Well, the thing is, I'm not that interested in any of the other characters that they have left.
I mean, you have Thor still. You have with the Guardians of the Galaxy, you have Hulk also. Yeah. She-Hulk's coming out.
Okay, you're convincing
but that's
me.
Disney Plus. That's the streaming service.
But like the Red Witch and
Scarlet Witch and Vision.
And Vision and all of them. Man.
Yeah, it's me interesting.
Not
Black Panther's not coming out until 2021.
Black Panther. Okay, all right, I recant. Okay, there's a lot.
There are a lot of superheroes. We just had a movie with like 20,000 superheroes.
This is going to be a huge hit. It's going to be a huge impact because Iron Man was such a central character, and they set him up to be the heir apparent. And now we're losing that. We're losing the J. Jonah Jameson. But you know what? It's not 100% set in stone yet, supposedly. But they're running out of time.
Yeah.
So
because they got to start filming soon. They need They need to make more money. They can't wait for too long.
More money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think should happen? Which direction do you think should Sony go with their new storyline of Peter Parker and Spider-Man? What should the MCU do with the lack of Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Who becomes the central point of the Avengers?
Or
are
actually,
they going to have Avengers films?
Or do they even? We know in the next phase for the MCU, there is no Avengers film in the next phase,
right?
And so it's very possible that Kevin Feige and the rest of them, they just decide we're just doing individual movies, focusing on individual superheroes.
Because
and then phase 5, bring them back in for another battle.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens in Phase 5. That could be very possible. But how many of these films have we had so far? 23?
22,
or more?
23, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of movies.
And they just released their new slate of movies that are coming out in the next 2 years, Disney, and they're showing no sign of slowing down.
No, they're not.
And I don't think fans are at that point yet where they're tired.
Not of MCU.
And I don't think these contract negotiations and the conflict is going to turn fans away. I think at the end of the day, everyone's going to hope for a good story, and I think they're going to keep coming out to the theater for that.
All right.
I know I will.
I'm interested to see what will happen, but yeah, that really hurts my heart if we lose Tom Holland, and then he becomes a buddy film, sidekick to Venom. I just won't be into it, but I'm sure a lot of people will.
What about so now? Now what about
What's
this?
Up?
So what if they introduce Spider-Man to Sony's version of Venom? Well, we know at the end of Venom, the last movie, at the very end, after the credits, they introduce Carnage with Woody Harrelson playing Cletus. I'm forgetting his other name, but that character.
Yeah.
And so, Because Eddie Brock in this version, in this Sony universe, he's not a bad guy. And Venom isn't necessarily a bad guy either. He does like bad things, but he's not a bad intention character, at least in this version. So what if in the next Spider-Man movie, if they want to force, Venom and Spider-Man to meet again, they have them, in the beginning of the movie, kind of like Batman versus Superman, kind of, like fighting each other. And then Carnage breaks out of prison. He comes out, says, "Hey, I'm the real big bad. I'm the real big problem here." Now Venom and Spider-Man, which they've done in the comics before, team up and battle Carnage.
And then they become BFFs, and then they realize what a precious little,
then maybe the symbiote gets a little taste of Spider-Man, and then hops onto Spider-Man. Then we get Black Suit Spider-Man. But I'm gonna destroy that story because that's what happened in the last Spider-Man film.
Right, we want to see something different. We want to see something that we haven't seen before.
So maybe they should hold back off on Venom. Definitely hold back on the Green Goblin. I'm okay with seeing the Hobgoblin, maybe, but he's still really closely associated with the Green Goblin. I'm down to see which other characters are there. Ooh, Kraven the Hunter. I would love to see a Kraven the Hunter versus Spider-Man Tom Holland. If they can hire...
He's getting very excited
now. Okay, so they can't...
Calm down.
So Netflix, they canceled the other Marvel movies, and so no Punisher, no Daredevil, but the guy who played Punisher for the Netflix series, what if they just bring him back, because he did great as the Punisher, because the Punisher has also fought Spider-Man in the past, but what if they make him into Kraven the Hunter? I think that actor, I'm blanking on his name right now, but I believe that actor would be awesome as Kraven the Hunter, and that could be a new movie for that doesn't sound terrible.
All right. Okay. Well, okay. I would give that a chance. I would give it a chance. Yeah. I think everything's gonna be okay. It's not life and death, okay, people. It's entertainment. It's happy.
No, this is everything to me.
It's everything. Oh yeah. Are we gonna end the podcast crying again like we did last week?
No.
Yeah. All right, James.
We should probably end on a...
We talked about a lot.
Yeah.
We're good. I think
we're good. We need this weekend to recharge, to rethink our lives, and rethink these theories from Star Wars to Spider-Man to the Marvel, Sony.
Oh, one last thing I wanted to say about Star Wars, okay? And then I promise I'm done. I promise. People are getting sick of me already. The relationship between Rey and Kylo.
Yes.
There were a few things that were said about it by the people in power, by the people in charge, okay? J.J. Abrams, when asked to describe the relationship between Kylo and Rey, called it desperate. Daisy Ridley used the word connected. These two characters are connected.
Of course.
And Kathleen Kennedy said very, very complicated. And then she apologized for using more than one word, but very, very complicated. So I'm very excited to see how that all works out. So that's what I'm most excited about. That's what you were most excited about. All the Venom possibility, perhaps all the new villains. And I think we are Disneyed out.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning into this episode of Hub on Hollywood. Please subscribe, hit that like button. If you're listening to this on SoundCloud, go ahead and follow the SoundCloud and give us a share also.
All right, and keep listening.
Keep listening.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Great. Bye.
Bye. No more Disney.
No more.